Hello everyone, welcome back to Reverse Lens. In today's episode, I, Rana Meher, will talk to you about the referendum taking place in Bangladesh on 12th of February 2026. Now, on the 12th of February 2026, alongside the conspiracy-ridden election that is taking place by the local and international forces, there is another very dangerous plot is being unfolded, and that plot is called referendum. The objective of this referendum is to completely destroy Bangladesh's identity as a state, an identity rooted in Bengali nationalism, secularism, and a liberal ethos where the people are the source of all power, and to transform the country into a very reactionary, religiously fundamental state. Now, before I describe you why this referendum is very dangerous, let us look at the referendum questions. You know what? Before we go to referendum question, let me take you to the path of the July Charter that referendum is trying to implement. This referendum is taking place to implement the July Charter, which is made by some people who do not have no knowledge, no academic or any sort of background about constitutions. Those people do not have the majority mandate, but because they are powerful by many local and international figures, they believe they can change the constitution through July Charter. Now, the so-called July Charter that Muhammad Yunus and Jamaat NCP are expanding enormous effort, what actually does it contain? The July Charter includes 84 of reform proposals. The first section consists of 47 proposals that requires constitutional amendments. The second section contains 37 decisions that could be implemented through ordinance and executive orders. Now, what are the proposed constitutional reforms? One of the most important constitutional reform it is proposing that the section on the Constitution's guiding principle of state policy will include equality, human dignity, social justice, religious freedom, and communal harmony. Now, our constitution was drafted by giving the highest importance to every citizen of Bangladesh, regardless of their religion or any other background, and to the secular character of the state. That is why our four fundamental principles are the Bengali nationalism, secularism, socialism, and democracy. By rejecting Bengali nationalism, the July Charter seeks to alter the institutional secular character of the state and to remove secularism from the Constitution's fundamental principles. I would also like to remind you of another important point. As the July Charter is proposing to remove secularism from our constitution, Jamaat, BNP, and other religious parties, they openly declared, jointly and openly declared, if they are elected to form the next government, they will declare the Qadianis are non-Muslim, and they will also introduce the blasphemy law in Bangladesh. So this July Charter actually paving the path for blasphemy law to be introduced in Bangladesh. Now, let us turn to questions. The question C, in the referendum, question C or proposal C, it sounds very nice, very, very posh, very polished. It says an increase in women's representation in parliament. They say this will not happen in this election, don't know why, but in the first election, by which they actually mean the next one, in that so-called first election, each party will supposedly nominate at least 5% of women, then 10%, then 15%, then gradually increasing women's representation to at least 33%. I told you before, it sounds really nice, really polished, really posh. Now, let us look at how many women candidates they are being treated by these parties who want to implement the July Charter if they are to be selected as the next government. Out of 2,568 candidates contesting the election, only 109. Yes, you hearing me right? Only 109, just 4.2% are women. Most political parties have not nominated any women candidate at all, and one of these is Jamaat-e-Islami, now America's best friend. The BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, has reportedly nominated around 10 women. Of the 109 total women candidates, 37 are independent candidates. That means all political parties in combination have nominated only 72 women to be voted and to be in the next government. Now, those are the people are giving us promises that if they're selected to be in the next government, if they're selected to implement July Charter through this referendum, they will increase women candidacy when they are so reluctant to nominate any women for their own party. I mean, is it a joke? And just to let you know, only a couple of days ago, one of the candidate from one of the Islamic party, he literally rejected to sit and share a same stage with another women candidate. He said because it is prohibited in Islam, he would not share a stage with a women candidate. How can people believe that those people will increase women candidate in parliament? No, this is not possible at all. Under the proposal, the president will be elected through votes from both the lower house and the upper house. I will speak in more detail about the upper house and lower house fiasco, but for now, let me say this. The members of the upper house will not come to power through a direct vote of the people, at least not for this election. The president will be elected by people whom we did not vote for, and then, in the name of balancing power with the prime minister, the president's authority is to be expanded. Now, many of the people, including me, I am saying that there is a chance that Muhammad Yunus wants to be the next president of Bangladesh because he's such a power-hungry person. He wants to be in the power for as long as he can. He is the president of Grameen Bank for I don't know how long. He was there for so long that a court order was needed to take him down. So, please do not think I am being very delusional if I am believing Muhammad Yunus wants to be the next president of Bangladesh because extending presidential power sounds kind of fishy. Now, the same referendum also includes a question on the independence of the judiciary. So in the referendum, when it states about what they're going to do, it talks about free and independent judiciary. And in the clause 33 of the July Charter, they claim that they will ensure full independence of the judiciary. Now, viewers, if I can take you back to the 5th of August 2024 and how this current judiciary of Bangladesh was formed, you will get an idea of why I'm being so suspicious of the July Charter and the referendum. On 5th of August 2024, the Chief Justice of Bangladesh was attacked by a vicious mob. The Chief Justice had to seek shelter in the cantonment to save his life. Not only him, other judges of Supreme Court were attacked and they had to escape. On 8th of August 2024, Mohammad Asaduজ্জামান, former Human Rights Secretary of the BNP and who is participating in this election, by the way, assumed office as the new Attorney General. So he is participating in the election when he's being the Attorney General of Bangladesh as well. On 10th of August 2024, an organized group led by Hasnat Abdullah, one of the key figures of this anti-quota movement or July conspiracy movement, and the leader of NCP as well, again occupied the Supreme Court premises and threatened, not requested, literally threatened the Chief Justice. If the Chief Justice did not resign, his residence would be attacked again. Facing the coercion and concern for the safety of himself and other judges, the Chief Justice resigned, along with the remaining judges of the Appellate Division. On the same day, Rifat Ahmed was sworn in as Chief Justice. Now, the current Chief Justice, Rifat Ahmed, not even for once condemned what happened to his predecessor and did not condemn for a single time how the previous Chief Justice and the Appellate Division had to resign because of the life-threatening situation. On 12th of August, 4 new judges were appointed to the Appellate Division. On 15th and 16th of August 2024, as it became virtually impossible to function under continuous threat, the ICT Chief Prosecutor Haidar Ali, along with 13 other prosecutors, resigned. Now, it is not only us or not only me saying this. Many internationally reputed organizations, they were very vocal about the international crime tribunals and how it is treating Sheikh Hasina and how Sheikh Hasina is facing trial in international crime tribunals as a kangaroo court. Now, those people who literally made the Chief Justice and other judges to resign from their position, those people made the International Crime Tribunals of Bangladesh a kangaroo court. Who would believe if those people are selected, they will ensure a free and independent judiciary? No. Nobody will believe. Any sane person would not believe in this kind of claim looking at their track record. Now, the upper house and lower house. Clause 17 of the Clause 17 of the legislative section of the July Charter states that Bangladesh will have a bicameral legislature, consisting of a lower house, the National Parliament, and the upper house, the Senate. 100 members of the upper house will be elected through proportional representation or PR based on the votes cast in election to the lower house. Now, for a country like Bangladesh, where the economy is on its knee now, you can understand how difficult it would be to maintain an upper house like this. Not only that, let's see how the upper house will be formed. It is also stated in the July Charter that at the time of the lower house election, the identities of the upper house candidates must be disclosed. Very nice proposal, right? But here the trick lies. This requirement to disclose the name of the upper house candidates in advance does not apply in this election. Now, do you know what that means? We do not know who will go to the upper house after this election. We do not know that Jamaat-e-Islami and other Islamic political parties or party of thugs like National Citizen Party or NCP, there is no way they can come to power in a free and fair election. But if they do not come to power of the government after the election, they will get place in the upper house very, very easily, because we do not know who those parties are considering to put in the upper house. Now, just to remind you, the National Citizen Party, NCP, and its leader Nahid and others, every time they're campaigning, they're not campaigning to cast people's vote for them or for their party. They're very openly saying, if you do not want to vote me, if you do not want to vote NCP, please cast your vote for yes in the referendum. Now, why? Because they are guaranteed to be in the upper house after the election if their allies party are selected. Now, let me tell you about 270 days. This is so funny. A constitutional reform council will be formed. If the Constitutional Reform Council fails to complete the reforms within 9 months, the July Charter will automatically come into effect. In other words, whatever happens, the July Charter will be implemented. So if this is the case, what is the point of this referendum? If this is the case, what is the point of having a full-fledged elected parliament? No, because the ultimate plan of Muhammad Yunus and his minion is to destroy our country with the July Charter, and that is why they are adamant to implement July Charter after the election, whatever happens. So this is like some kind of autopus system that July Charter will be implemented after 270 days. Now, the problem is the current interim government led by Muhammad Yunus, it deployed all the government force, all the state funding to campaign for yes vote, which they are not allowed to do, but they are doing it by force. Muhammad Yunus and his government, they allocated a huge amount of money for campaigning to the yes vote. So, the Ministry of Cultural Affairs is spending 460 million taka. The Ministry of Information got 47.1 million taka. The Ministry of Religious Affairs got 70 million taka. LGED, they got 720 million taka. The Ministry of Social Welfare, they got 45.2 million taka. The Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, they got 43.4 million taka. It's a huge number. I haven't converted that amount to pound and dollar, but you can imagine that huge amount of money is allocated to this government institution so that they can campaign for yes vote. Now, can they do that? Let's see what the international institutions say. International standards set out by the Venice Commission, the OSCE, and the case law of the European Court of Human Rights are clear on one point. The state as an authority must remain neutral. Even though the government as a political actor may hold and express its own position, they cannot misuse state resources, including public funds. So all this money that I informed you to, all this money, They're spending from the public fund. They are not allowed to do that. The misuse state resources, including public funds, the civil service apparatus, or state media to unfairly promote one side. The government cannot apply pressure by forcing civil servants, local authorities, or public institutions to participate in campaigning. The government cannot undermine the principle of equal opportunity among the parties participating in the referendum. Now, those are the international standard that every country needs to follow, but of course it is not happening in Bangladesh. The current government led by Muhammad Yunus, that current government and unconstitutional government, by the way, it is campaigning for yes vote, which is clearly a conflict of interest. Now let's see what other countries does in terms of referendum. In England there is a law called Purdah law, and by this Purdah law, England the government position in referendum has to be scrutinized in many ways. One of the scrutiny is the government cannot participate to campaign for one side of the referendum at least 28 days prior of the election. In France, the government may state its position, but official communications must be informational and balanced and not one-sided. In Ireland, it is very strict about the referendum campaign by the government. Government campaigning is heavily restricted in Ireland, and an independent referendum commission is legally mandated to provide neutral information. And nothing sort of this is happening in Bangladesh. Muhammad Yunus and all the other parties, they're shamelessly campaigning for yes vote and portraying people who are against the yes vote, portraying them that they do not want Bangladesh to prosper, they're fascist, they're this and they're that. Now, my fellow Bangladeshis, if you are listening to this, what do you think you should do? Should you vote for something that will take our country somewhere that we do not want to see? Now, please remember, our country is secular by our constitution. Our country keep the Bengali nationalism is one of its core by the constitution. If you vote for yes, if in referendum that yes vote pass, somehow we will lose all this and we will take Bangladesh thousands years behind, where the women will have no rights, the minority have no rights, and Bangladesh will be a fundamentalist country. This is one side. And on the other side, do you think we should participate in this election, which is very, very conspirational? No. An election without the largest political party, Awami League, cannot be a free and fair election. It is just a conspiracy, nothing else. And people who are not Bangladeshi, if you are watching this video, please remember, you are the citizen of world, just like the Bangladeshi. We all have responsibilities towards every country, and to make sure nothing can make a country fundamentalist, because if the Islamic jihadist comes to power in Bangladesh, not only Bangladesh's inner peace will be lost, but it can destabilize, and it will destabilize the South Asian geographic location, and it will impact the whole world, not only Bangladesh. So wherever you are, whoever you are, please speak up against that referendum. Please speak up against this election. This referendum should be stopped immediately, and election can only be held where Awami League is allowed to be participated in with their full freedom. That's all I have to say. I will see you next week with any other topic or with the same topic. Who knows? Thank you very much for being with me. See you next time. Till then, goodbye and joy Bangla.